So we see a map of the Chicagoland area, which I can make larger or smaller. I think what's really important about this map is it takes in what I'm looking to show you are the north suburbs and the North Shore suburbs. These are the best suburbs in all of Chicagoland. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't other great suburbs. These are the suburbs that I personally work and people ask me to take them. And I'll put that out for you so you get where I go. And anything, you know, the other thing that's really, really important here is the fact that Chicago itself is split up into four different areas. Okay. So the first area from Chicago, we're going to put in red, and that's the south area. So you can see near north. So Chicago, which let me just get that more visible. Okay, so right in here is Chicago. So that's pretty simple, right? So let's mark that for starters, Chicago. Now, when we look at the map, when we look to the right, this would be east, okay? And east is Lake Michigan. So we don't have an east unless you live on the lake, and if you live on a boat, you can. And when you get way over here further is Michigan, and down here is Indiana. Okay, so there are people that come to Chicago that take this path. The other part of this is that we also have what is known as a south area, south suburbs of Chicago, which I'm going to mark here. Okay, I don't go there. Okay, I'm headquartered in this area, and I work the north suburbs and I work the North Shore suburbs. Now, these southern towns are a lot different than the towns up north. And as a realtor who's been in the business for 27 years, I can't cover everything. Now, keep in mind that there's 90 million people in Metro Chicago. So it would be impossible for me to work all those people. The other thing is, besides having south suburbs, we know there's no east suburbs, but we do know that there is west suburbs, which we'll mark in pink. And these west suburbs, and there's some really good west suburbs, by the way. I don't want you to not think that there are, but we started here, and basically it would be mostly in here and going here, okay? So I don't go to North Aurora. I don't go to Naperville. I'll tell you, Naperville is a sensational suburb. I go there occasionally, but I don't typically go there. But it is a great suburb. There are a couple of really good suburbs. Burr Ridge is a really good suburb. Hinsdale is a really good suburb. Expensive suburbs. Now, what I do is I work the north suburbs of Chicago. So really almost anything like here and north. Now, not as far north as Wisconsin, which would come up here, but close. And I'll give you an idea of where that all comes in. So here's Chicago. Oh, just take this out, okay. And let me break it down so you can see a bigger piece of the Midwest. And of course you could see Milwaukee here. And actually the borderline for all that would be right in here. So this is the borderline. Now over here, this is Iowa. And here's Wisconsin and of course Milwaukee, which gives you a very large airport to come into. Milwaukee's great. Milwaukee's about 50 miles from Chicago, so it's not bad, maybe 60. And then on this side is Michigan. Now, what people love about Michigan is in southwest Michigan, and here, there's a lot of vacationing. A lot of vacationing. People love to use the lake. There's beautiful houses. There's a lot of wealthy people from Chicago who also have houses in the southwest part of Michigan. And so the Midwest is a really interesting place. It's been here for a long, long time. And what I'm going to do is give you a little bit of synopsis where I work and the towns that I work in that I'm an expert in. So I've worked these towns for 27 years. So let me give you a little bit of a heads up on it. So when we do this, right, further, quite that far, but I don't want to leave anything out. Now, I think it's really, really important to start out by saying there are two destinations that people find extremely important. The first destination is a city, okay? So the city's right here, and it's where a lot of people work. There's a lot going on in the city. There's plays, there's musicals, there's sports, there's all kinds of stuff. So people work in Chicago. Most people work in this area called downtown Chicago. And the other part that's really important is our most famous airport, which is O'Hare Airport, which is right here. And for the North Shore and the North Suburbs, this airport becomes very important. Now we do have a second airport, which is all the way down here, but it's really difficult to fly out of that airport and get to where we want to go. Okay. So that becomes a little bit of an issue. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. I'm going to get rid of that. So a little bit further than I wanted to, but this way you'll get to see where the airport is. So it's around 55th Street, which would be up here, right around Cicero. And I don't see it marked on this map, but it is. I know if I keep making it bigger, and here we go, Chicago Midway Airport. So let me mark that for you in blue. I'm not going to leave these markings, but it gives you an idea where the airport is. Okay. It's a big airport. Let me tell you, it's expanded tremendously. But when you're coming from way up here, it makes it more difficult because right off of O'Hare, we have tollways and highways, and it's really easy to get to. So it doesn't take long. It doesn't take after you land. There's buses, there's lifts, there's all kinds of cars that'll take you there. But we're going to start our search for no other reason than where I work and what I promote. And believe me, if you said to me, I don't want to live up here, I'd say, fine, tell me where you want to live and I'll probably help you find a place, or I'll know someone that works in my company, or even someone that's a friend of mine. But most of the people I know do work in the North Shore and North Suburbs, and that's just the way it is. So we're actually going to go fairly high, and we're going to spread this out just a little and make it, there we go. Okay, so let's talk about the towns that I suggest, and we're going to do the North Shore towns in red and the North Suburbs in blue. Okay, so the first town that I work in is Skokie. I also grew up in Skokie, but it is considered a North Shore town. It's right here. Skokie has over 67,000 people living there. The median age is 42.6 years, and the median income is $93,550. And there's some great things in every one of these towns. I can't go into a lot of shopping and restaurants because, boy, that's all personal opinion, and I guarantee you I've eaten in every single town, I've shopped in every single town, but I will point out some other things. So in Skokie, what's really famous, which has always been famous, is we have a tremendous shopping center called Old Orchard Shopping Center. And it's an outdoor center. It's one of the few really fabulous outdoor centers, and it's got every major shop, every large major shop. So that's number one. The second thing it has is the Illinois Holocaust Museum. I highly recommend anyone to visit the Holocaust Museum. I tell you, it bugs me more as there's a lot of people who are anti-Semitic. They need to go to this museum and see the way people lived back in the 40s, late 30s, early, the 1940s, when they were massacring Jews and a lot of other people. It just wasn't Jews. And also there's a great hospital in Skokie. A lot of people who are getting their shoulders done, their knees, their hips, that they seem to specialize. It was an all-time a hospital that did everything, but now they specialize in limbs. The second area is a great area. It's Evanston. Now, Evanston is right off of Lake Michigan. Evanston has 78,110 people living there. The average age is 38 years old. The average income is $96,000. Evanston has its own fabulous hospital. Then there's downtown Evanston that goes on for miles. It's an incredible place to go and visit and shop and eat. And then there's Northwestern. So Northwestern, which comes in here, is a Big Ten university, one of the top universities, and it brings a lot of students to Evanston. So it makes it really nice for students. The third town is the number 3 ranked town in Chicago, which is Wilmette. Wilmette has 28,000 people. And keep in mind, because we're not just a town here and a town there. We're all connected. So Wilmette's connected to Evanston. Wilmette's connected with Skokie. Wilmette is connected with Kenilworth, and so on and so forth. So there's always a connection, even though it may not be as big as some of the other towns. Like, for instance, Evanston is 78,000 people. That just draws a bigger population. But so, you drive out of Wilmette and you're in the next town. Now, Kenilworth is a very expensive neighborhood. Kenilworth has only 2,500 people who live there. Kenilworth has an average age of 41.3, and their median income is over 250,000. My information only takes you to 250,000. Okay, and then from Kenilworth, we go into the number one money town is Winnetka. A lot of wealthy people live in Winnetka. There's 12,500 people who live in Winnetka. The median income is 250,000, but it's probably a lot higher. It's the most expensive town in all of Chicagoland, and it has very wealthy people. And of course, anything when you're talking about Lake Michigan here, anything on Lake Michigan makes it very expensive. And then just north of Winnetka is the number two town, which is called Glencoe. Now, Glencoe is a small town of 8,849 people. The average age is 45.4, and the income is 250,000. Some of the special things in Glencoe is Ravinia. Ravinia is a fabulous place. Or let me take that back. Glencoe is known for the Chicago Botanic Garden. So there's botanic gardens all over the world, and this is the one that's in Chicago. So it's an easy drive anywhere in the north or north suburbs to get Glencoe, and you could get in. They do have memberships, but you don't have to be a member necessarily to go there. Okay, we're going to go a little bit to the west, and our next town would be Northbrook. Okay, so in Northbrook, which is right here, or excuse me, that's Northfield. Northbrook is right here, and Northbrook is a town of, let's see, Northbrook has about 35,000 people. It's 49.2 years old, and it's the median income is 155,321. I particularly live here in Glenview. Now, back in 2000, when I moved to Glenview, I opened up the first brokerage in Glenview, which was in the Glen Club, which is a private, but it's only private until you move in. 8,000 different townhouses, single family homes, condos. So, and Glenview has so much for everybody. It's a bigger town. Glenview is approximately 47,680 people. The average age is 46.3. The income is 138,758. It has the Glen. It also has Northwestern Hospital. It also has North Shore Hospital, and it also has, as we're going to look into this a little bit more. Let me look in here. Okay, hold on, just one last thing, so I could erase these things. Okay, and then give you a better idea of what it looks like as you get deeper into it. So when the Glen came about, the Glen was owned by the Glenview Naval Air Station. Okay, and they sold all this land to Glenview for $1, and it's quite amazing. I know when I first moved in, there were 18,000 kids between 0 and 4, and another 26,000 kids between 4 and 18. And the school system is great, as they are in any of these towns. But what we had here was this great, huge lake. We have all these towns that were made up here. That's all part of the Glen. And yeah, it's pretty neat to go here. And then there's all these service type companies. So it's pretty cool to live in Glenview at this moment. Now, let's get back to where we were. Okay, and finish up some of these towns. So as you can see, we did Northfield, and we did Glenview, and we did Northbrook. Okay, so we're going to go north. Let's go north, young man. Let's go north. So we're going to start out now. Okay, so here's Northbrook, and the next town up is Deerfield. So Deerfield is a great town. We'll get it to you in a minute, because the dividing line for Lake Cook Road, which is right here, is also the dividing line of the county. So anything south is Cook County, and everything north is Lake County, which this affects your taxes. So taxes are about half a point higher in the northern part of in Lake County. Okay, so we're going to continue going north. Just take this out. Do this. Okay. Now, as we continue going north, so I can show you all of what goes on, are two sensational towns. Actually, three. The first one is Deerfield. Okay, and Deerfield has some of the best schools you can get, and here's Deerfield High School. So you actually have a choice. Some people can go to Deerfield High School, or they can go to Highland Park High School, which is up here. And here's Highland Park. This is where Michael Jordan lived, and you can see Highland Park is really an incredible town. Now, Deerfield has 19,000 people, 44 years old, and 189,000 in median income. And Highland Park, on the other hand, has 68,000 people, 46 years old, and 161,000 in income. So they have a really big income. They've got a great downtown, one of the best downtowns. And the other thing that Highland Park is known for are they have two hospitals, and they have Ravinia. Now, Ravinia is an outdoor, hundreds of acres, where you can sit outside and sit on a blanket, or bring your chair and buy food there, or bring your own food and take a bus and just listen to orchestras or the latest in music. They have both. It's a pretty cool place to go. So yeah, that's Deerfield and Northbrook. And the other town I wanted to show you, which is really part of Deerfield, is Bannockburn. So and here's Bannockburn right here. So we'll mark that. We'll mark it right here. Small town, only 2,700 people, 31,000. Excuse me, 31 is the average age, 200,000 is the average income, and it's just an extension of Deerfield. And the last two towns that we're going to work on here is going to be, let's get rid of this and go to Lake Forest and Lake Bluff. So all I have to do is make this a little smaller. The Bears practice in Lake Forest. Here you go, Lake Forest and Lake Bluff. So they're two really great towns. Lake Forest is known for being a very wealthy town. There's a lot of huge mansions in Lake Forest. Lake Forest has about 19,000 people, and Lake Bluff is much smaller, has 5,800 people. Lake Forest average is about, median is about 228,000, and the average age is 46, where in Lake Bluff it's a little younger, 44.9, and they make 205,000. Now, there's a hospital in Lake Bluff called Endeavor, and there's also two hospitals in Lake Forest. One of the hospitals in Lake Forest is Lake Northwestern, which is started in Chicago, and they have branches now in many towns. They just build this absolutely gorgeous, unbelievable.
Thinking about relocating to Chicago, Illinois, and neighboring suburbs? Well, I've got just the thing for you. My team and I have actually taken the time to create the ultimate relocation guide, which is meant to save you hours of research. And I've linked it down below, from top employees, the best hospitals, and a boatload of other things that you need to know before making the move. The best part of this guide, it's 100% free. That's right, you heard it right from me, 100% free. Just click the link in the description or the top pinned comment, and I hope that helps. In fact, I know it will help.
Hospital, which is right here in Lake Forest. So let me see if I could get that to you. It's very close to this area here, Naval Station. So yeah, and there's the golf course. So it's right over here in this area. That just so you can know where it is. So the hospital's huge, just huge, and it's almost like a one-floor hospital. It's really cool, and unfortunately, I've been there. So I know it. Some of my doctors don't necessarily go there, or some do, and they don't go anywhere else. So I do have to go there once in a while. And that really is all the towns that are made up that go into the North Shore suburbs of, we're going to break it down a little bit. So as we started out, I'll do this in red as well. I like red. Now there's further towns that go up, but we're going to break it down to Lake Bluff and Lake Forest being the northern ones. And then we go to Deerfield and Northbrook and Glenview. And then we go Skokie and Wilmette and Evanston and Winnetka and Glencoe and Highland Park. And there's your North Shore. Okay. Now we're going to do this a little differently, showing you exactly where the north suburbs are. Because the north suburbs are great suburbs. They're right by the North Shore, but they take up more of the north part, of course, and they take more of the west because they can't get the lake because that's all North Shore suburbs. So let's just slide this map over. I don't go as far north where there are still some really great towns like Libertyville's a great town, and great schools, and Mundelein. But I did start as high as Vernon Hills. So I'm going to try to break this down a little bit here. So it's Vernon Hills and Lincolnshire and Riverwoods. They're great suburbs, even though they're not part of the North Shore. And here we go, Park Ridge, and then it covers Oak Grove Village, Roselle, Schaumburg, Hoffman Estates, South Barrington, Barrington. Barrington's just an incredible area, but I want you to see how I did this. Also, we went up a little bit to include Vernon Hills, which we started. So Vernon Hills and Hawthorne Woods and Long Grove and Buffalo Grove and Wheeling. And these are the north suburbs, okay? You still have the airport, which is still right here, so you can see how easy it is to get to the airport. And you also have a little bit further, which would be downtown Chicago, which isn't that hard to go because there's highways all over here. There's also Lyft and different vehicles, and there's trains that go to every single town. So let's just talk about each and every one of these towns. We'll mark these towns in blue so we have a good feel for it, and we'll start out right up at the top where I started, which was Vernon Hills. I really enjoy these suburbs. So I go to these suburbs a lot for golf and finding people places to live. Vernon Hills is an area of 26,000 people, median age 41.3 with $120,000 median price range. Wonderful suburb. Lincolnshire, another great suburb. Lincolnshire is, where did I put Lincolnshire? Okay, so Lincolnshire is about 26,000 people. The average age is 40 and the income is $142,000. Riverwoods is a much higher income, and they also feed right off of Deerfield, which is right there. And let's see what we have here for them. So they are 32,000 people in Riverwoods, and the average age is 44.4, and their average income is 189,000. As I continue, this is one of the smaller, least expensive is Wheeling. So Wheeling has 39,000 people, the average age is 38, and the income is 83,000. I continue with Prospect Heights. These are all very important suburbs, and I have a lot of clients who've chosen these suburbs. They're less expensive, they still have great schools, lots of restaurants, there's hospitals, there's everything you can ask for. Prospect Heights has 15,000 people, and they don't have an average age, but the average income is 91,000. Mount Prospect, which is considered a wonderful suburb, has 55,000 people, average age 41.7, and their income is 103,000. Now, one of the towns that's going through a little bit of a difficult time right now is Des Plaines. Even though they're so close to the North Shore, Des Plaines has 60,000, average age is 42.8, and their income's 83,000, but houses aren't selling for no reason in particular in Des Plaines. Top line town is Park Ridge, where Maine South High School is at, and also there's a great hospital in Park Ridge, which is Lutheran General Hospital. 38,000 people, 44.5 is the age, and the income is 138,000. Right around the airport is Elk Grove Village, and Elk Grove has 32,000, 43.9 average age, and 95,000 is the median price range. A really big town is Arlington Heights. In Arlington Heights, they have lots of shops and restaurants. They close some of the streets at night so people can sit in the street and get served their dinner by the various restaurants. Arlington Heights has 76,000 people, average age is 42.7, and the income is 113,000. Northwestern Community Hospital is there, and Arlington Town Square, which is a great shopping area. Rolling Meadows, and keep in mind how close everything is here. So you go from one town to the next town. Rolling Meadows has 24,000 people, 38.5 is the average age, 100,000 is the average income. Palatine, big family area. Palatine has 66,000 people, 39.6 average age, 95,950. Probably one of the very largest towns is Schaumburg, which is known for shopping centers, and it has a great public golf course. There's 77,000 people live in Schaumburg. The average age is 39.7, and the average income is 94,690. I also brought in, I kind of cut this off a little bit, but we do have Roselle. Roselle is 22,000 people, 41.3 age, and 109,000. So, and then Hoffman Estates. We're almost done with this little map, but I wanted to show you. Hoffman Estates is 51,000, 38.9 is the age, and 109,000 is the median. Now, Barrington is, well, let me just do one more town here, which is Hawthorne Woods, a very high-end town, Hawthorne Woods. And Hawthorne Woods only has 9,800 people. The average age is 40.6, and the income is $238,000. I'd say that's pretty high. We have a little suburb here called Lake Zurich, which almost blends itself into the Barringtons, but Lake Zurich is 19,000 people, 41.3, and 139,000 median age. I kind of ended it here because of Barrington. Now, Barrington has South Barrington. My wife was at a party. This house was 9,000 square feet, 10 acres. So when anyone suggests big, huge houses, I always tell them about Barrington. It's not just South Barrington. It's Barrington Hills, it's Barrington, it's Lake Barrington, and somewhere up here is Port Barrington, but I'm not sure where. I think it's somewhere in the water. But, Barrington has about 19,000 people, and the average income is about $197,000. Now, the two towns I left out, because they're a little closer and I just kind of missed them, were Long Grove, which is a wonderful little country town. And Long Grove has 8,000 people. The average age is 52, and the average income is 235,000. And Buffalo Grove, which is right next to it. Now, Buffalo Grove is interesting because it actually runs through two counties. One county is Cook and one is Lake. And in Lake, their high school is Stevenson, which is one of the best schools there is. So a lot of people who live in Buffalo Grove love to go to Stevenson. Now, with that being said, the other high school, which goes to Cook, is Buffalo Grove High School, and that's also a very, very good school. Doesn't rate quite as high, but it's pretty good. There's 42,000 people in Buffalo Grove. The average age is 42.1, and the median income is 121,000.
Hey guys, it's Barry Newman. As much as I love making these videos, there's one thing I love more, and that's helping families and people from all over the United States make the move here to Chicago. I've helped countless families make the move. So whether you're coming out next week, next month, or even next year, don't hesitate to reach out. My contact information is right here and linked in the description in case you missed the on-screen pop-up. I look forward to helping you and your family make the move to Chicago.
So you can see what I've done here, which is putting the north suburbs here, right? And then I put the south or the North Shore suburbs, which goes all the way to Lake Bluff, right? It took in Deerfield and Northbrook and Glenview and Skokie and Wilmette and Evanston and Winnetka and Glencoe and Highland Park and Lake Forest and Lake Bluff. So this would be the North Shore and this would be North Suburbs. Now, with that all being said, there's always a couple towns that get caught in between that I could have mentioned and talked a lot about. I love, for instance, there's a couple towns that I really do care about. And, one is Libertyville. I love Libertyville. It's a great town. But Mundelein happens to be like a great place for golf. There's a million great golf courses. I don't really do a lot in these more rural areas that you see here. They haven't been that, I don't get as many people that want to go into rural areas. So, and then you're starting to get into the south suburbs here. So I don't really do that. Not that people don't live there, because they do. But you can see here how this area has changed by me putting all these circles in. And these are great towns. Now, I can go into it so much deeper. I was watching somebody in Texas showing some of the places to go in Houston, which is the right behind Chicago in population. But they have so much newer houses that because most of their land was not developed as long as ours have been. We're an old established town. It started with Chicago, and it started with 2 and 3 flats, and it started with ranch houses and all different types. And then as these towns grew and got more expensive and the land was purchased, that's the other thing. People started building vertically, and there wasn't enough land here. Now, in some of these areas in here, there's lots of land where they don't have to just go vertically, but they so there's like acres of land. It just depends where you want to live. Now think about this. If you were to live in Barrington, or if you were to live if people are looking to spend, let's say, a few $1 million on a house, I recommend 3 areas. One of the areas that I recommend is always somewhere near Chicago, okay? These are north of Chicago. Now you're talking about lot size. Think of this, 25 by 125 or 140. Think about that, 25 feet. And that house can cost you as much as a house in Barrington, or it can cost you as much as a house in the North Shore, okay? So yeah, do you want to live right by downtown? Get to work pretty quick if you work there, but you don't get the land. You don't get the neighborhoods. Now, there's a definite purpose to living near the city. Definite purpose, great. It's great there. And it's easy to work and easy back, and it's pretty safe. We get all this stuff about safety, but the issue of the safety issues are a little bit further away than what I marked here. They're not so much north and there's not so much west, but a lot of it is south. There's a south area that's a poor area, and it's trying to regentrify itself, and it's not doing it. So I can't necessarily recommend people, even though I think there's some really good towns there. And it all depends what you're used to and where you want to go and what your price range is. So I really find that if you go to, let me clear the map a little bit so you can get a better idea of where we are, and as I told you, we actually did this whole big area, which was the North Suburbs and the North Shore suburbs, and there's so many places to live. Now, if you want rural areas, You go way up here, okay? This is real rural. I just sold someone too from Singapore a ranch house, which was like $120,000, pretty nice ranch, and it was right here in Wonder Lake. So that's the other thing about some of these areas like Fox Lake, and they have a lot of boating and things like that. Other people either buy boats and park their boats there, or they go to other places. So there's a tremendous amount of places that you could live in. I'll find you something. A lot of it can be, a lot of people, it's location, it's how much you can afford, it's how big a house, it's what kind of schools do you want. Do you want to be real close to a hospital? Do you want to be further away from a hospital? So you've got a lot of that. And, I'm happy to individually go over any one of these maps with you and to help you find before you even get here. Now, once you get here, it's a whole different thing. It's like people looking online at a house, and then when they go there, it doesn't look as good, or maybe it looks even better. But that's really what you have to do. You can't really look at something by a map any more than you can look at a house from a picture and say, that's my house. You don't know who's living around you. You don't know if you want to, be around a lot of kids, not a lot of kids. I mean, there's a lot of kids everywhere, and there's a lot of adults. So we went over the numbers to give you that, but nobody seems to be too young or too old. I think the oldest was about 50, and I believe that 50 was somewhere, I'm not sure. I think it was Hoffman Estates had someone around where the median age was around 50, but it looks like the high 30s to the low 40s for most people. But please do me a favor. Please if you like what I'm showing you, please like it. Hit the bell so we could get back in touch with you. And please make any comments, good, bad, or indifferent. I'm always looking to change, and I want people really to see what's going on in the North Shore and the North Suburbs. So with that, I'm going to say goodbye. Take care. And thank you so much for spending the time to watch this.